We've all been there, trapped behind someone else's cell phone. I first noticed this during a tour of Ernest Hemingway's house in Key West. I spent the entire tour stuck behind a woman who spent the entire tour stuck behind her cell phone. She insisted on recording the entire experience on her camera phone, which she held at arm's length in front of her body. The effect of this was that before she could turn a corner and enter a new room, her camera was already there. I remember thinking at the time how funny it was that this woman's camera was seeing Hemingway's house before she was. But then I began to wonder whether this woman was actually seeing Hemingway's house at all. In some ways, yes, she was seeing the house, but she was seeing it through the frame of a camera, as a photograph. In other words, she was seeing the present as the past. I noticed the same thing happening at Disney World during fireworks displays. When the first blast goes off high above Cinderella Castle, everybody quickly, instinctively, as if it's the most normal thing in the world, reaches for their cell phones. Those of us who don't want to record the show turn our attention up to the sky only to find our vision obstructed by a massive sea of screens. Not only do these screens distort the experience for the smartphone users, but they distort it for all of us, unlucky enough to have to watch the fireworks blast, not in the sky, but on these tiny screens in front of us. A photograph should have an of. A photograph of our family, a photograph of a significant event. A photograph is a cue to remember that I was here, here being my location in a given time and place. If, however, in the age of the smartphone, our only experience of a given time and place is through the frame of a camera, then in what sense were we ever truly here? Many of our photographs lack any of. They are, as Umberto Eco might say, an authentic fake. They are not photos of any experience. These photos themselves are the experiences. We are spending so much time collecting memories we haven't earned and documenting experiences that we've never actually had. Many exciting conversations are happening today about the future of humanity, the kinds of people we will become thanks to innovations in science and medicine and technology. But what about the people we're becoming and the changes that have already taken place in our species? These changes largely go unnoticed because they don't involve any buzzwords like gene editing or radical life extension or biohacking. But what if these changes are just as revolutionary as the ones that get all the press? Is it possible that while we're so preoccupied with thinking about who we're going to become, that we've already undergone a quiet evolution? Medical doctors have recently been warning us about so-called text neck, a condition that we develop after repeatedly contorting our spines to bend over our cell phones. Screens, we now know, are affecting our physical bodies. Are smartphone cameras affecting our vision in a similar way? Think of it as instavision, the habit of seeing everything as a possible social media photograph. If you have a hammer, everything is a nail. And if you have a smartphone with a nearly unlimited amount of storage, and many of us do, then our lives risk becoming little more than potential shareable content. Here's the problem with this. The more we see everything as a picture, and therefore as the past, the less we engage with the present. I call this premembering, the collapse of a moment and its memory. Frederick Jameson has devised the concept of nostalgia for the present. We draw back from our immersion in the here and now, he says, and grasp the present as a kind of thing. But the moment we grasp the present, we lose it. And when we distance ourselves from the present, we distance ourselves from ourselves. It's hard to know who we are if we can't even figure out when we are. So, what can we do about this? For starters, we might think about the difference between seeing and noticing. The woman who toured Hemingway's house in front of me was seeing, if by that we mean her eyes were scanning the objects around her. But I don't think she was noticing anything. Just as listening is a more intentional activity than merely hearing sounds, noticing is a more deliberate practice than simply using our eyes to look at something. We need to practice the art of noticing, of opening our eyes to the buzzing world around us and letting ourselves be surprised and affected by all of its colors and shapes and textures. The most cutting-edge camera will not be able to engage reality the way that we can with our own senses. We might also think about ways we can use our smartphones more mindfully. Christine Walters Painter has suggested there's a distinction between taking an image and receiving one. When we take an image, we come to our experiences with our cameras open, ready to indiscriminately capture every single thing we see. When we receive an image, on the other hand, we come to our experiences with our eyes wide open, prepared to engage on a deeply human level with all that we encounter. And then we let the image come to us. Once we're fully present to a moment, our smartphones can help deepen our experiences, but we have to arrive here first. Otherwise, we're not cultivating a life, but a social media feed. Here's the question we need to ask ourselves. Does pre-membering deepen our look at the real or minimize it? In fact, this is the urgent question that all of our technologies put to us. Does this thing enhance or diminish our full human potential? In his groundbreaking book, Flow, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi says that the most important condition for achieving a flow state is the ability to find rewards in the events of each moment. Our happiness depends on our ability to take joy in the unfolding present, to be aware of where we are and when we are and who are here with us, to be here, to see here without a frame, to experience it for what it is, a moment that has come to greet us. Thank you.